news channels in Oklahoma City. Stay tuned. I think you'll be glad you did. Hi, my name is Scott Esk. I was recently involved in a campaign for State Representative, House District 91 in South Oklahoma City. I did not prevail in that, but I would like to clarify a few things that came out while I was running. There were some media, I would call them media attacks, that came out, and one of the things I was accused of was calling for stoning gays, as it was described. Well, I have a YouTube video that you're starting to see now that is going to be made in response to that, and I think you'll enjoy my perspective on that and some other things, correcting some things that were very erroneously represented about me in the media. Stay tuned. I'm going to have the footage of the actual talk that I had with one of the journalists. His name's Rob Morris, a very irresponsible journalist, and you'll see why when you compare what he said in the 7-minute talk to what he actually put out in the media in the local news channels in Oklahoma City. Stay tuned. I think you'll be glad you did. Hi, my name is Scott Esk. I ran for State Representative, House District 91 in Oklahoma City, South Oklahoma City, shortly ago. I did not win in that contest, but I would like to clarify something that was told about me in the media. There was a journalist named Rob Morris from Moore who called me up one day, and we had a 7-minute conversation. Well, then that 7-minute conversation is recorded. You will see that on this video here shortly, and you'll get a chance to compare and contrast what he assured me and what actually came about in the snippets that were on the local news channels, which I also have footage of. So I'll let you be the judge of that, and I'll have some other things to say that I think you'll be glad you stay tuned to hear. Okay, you saw the video, you saw the phone call that I had with Mr. Morris, and you saw what he reported. Now you can decide for yourself. I'd like to explain a few things though. We already have the death penalty in most states for something such as capital murder, first-degree murder, where somebody plans to kill somebody in cold blood. In that case, we have a due process, and when somebody picks out a phrase saying, "I want to stone gays," they're trying to present me in the most extreme possible light, and that's not called for, because if anything's added as part of the death penalty in Oklahoma or any other state, I want to see a due process such as we already have for first-degree murder. We've had the death penalty applied to first-degree murder in Oklahoma on several occasions, and we use lethal injection. Some states use, I think there's one that uses hanging. Several use where they're shot by a firing squad, and those are all considered things that are not cruel or unusual. The Constitution stipulates that we cannot practice anything that is cruel or unusual. And all I'm saying is, if we add anything that's worthy of death, that we consider is worthy of death, and want to apply the death penalty to, we apply the due process as well. I'm not for somebody being guilty by association or guilty by anything besides witness evidence, just such as we apply already to crimes like first-degree murder. And I never did say I was for expanding the death penalty in Oklahoma. That came about as a result of the media attacks against me, I'm afraid. It didn't come out of my mouth. So there you have that part of the story. One other thing that is not included, it's been shied away from the last few years, but it's been a part of our history. And when we're talking about something as serious as taking someone's life, that's a very serious consideration. We should not be doing that for anything but very heinous crimes. One thing that has not been talked about very much, but I'm a big proponent of it, is jury nullification. Jury nullification is the power of any jury to decide not only if somebody's guilty of a certain crime, but is the law that they're being judged by just. If that jury decides that the law itself is not just, they have the power to acquit somebody of that crime and to say, either by their actions or even by a statement, that they decided this person, they couldn't make this person not guilty of disobeying a certain law, but that law itself is unjust. So in order to show their contempt for an unjust law, they acquitted that person, and that person went away free, not because they were not guilty of disobeying law, but because that law itself was unjust, and they decided to judge the law. And I know judges and DAs and others are not big fans of jury nullification, but it's something that it's American's apple pie. We've had it around ever since our nation was founded, and it's something I stand behind very, very fully. So if we decide something new is to be included as a capital crime, let juries decide if they want to enforce that. I'm all for that. I don't want to make something have to be enforced when somebody's found guilty of it. I want juries to be the ones who decide. I want that power to stay in their hands. I consider that there is and always has been help for homosexuals wanting to get out of homosexuality. The Bible is very clear about it in both the Old and New Testament. It's condemned in the Old Testament as something worthy of death. In the New Testament, it's also in Romans chapter 1, it says it's worthy of death as well, along with some other sins that are mentioned along with it. And I consider that it's an addiction, a very insidious one that's challenging. Any addiction is hard to come out of. But there are people, there are some churches that still stand up for biblical morality. I thought it was very unfortunate. The Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church, said he didn't consider himself in the position to judge about homosexuality. I'd say shame on the Pope, because he should have considered himself in that position. And any Christian should be in the position to say that this is sin or this is good. And if we don't make that distinction, we're not going to help people. But there was a ministry called First Stone Ministries that's been around since the 70s. They've helped people get out of homosexuality for a long time. I don't consider that homosexuality is something that somebody's born with, or it couldn't be considered a sin in the Bible, for one thing. And also, people couldn't get out of it. If they're destined to be a homosexual, then it wouldn't even be proper to try to get them to come out of it. But First Stone Ministries and more in former times, Exodus International has done a really good job, but I think they've strayed from their former message and watered it down quite a bit. First Stone, I think, has stayed more solid on defending biblical morality and calling homosexuality something to get out of, and urging people to get out of it. So help is there. I just want to include this just to give you some hope. I'd like to address again that phrase, stoning gays, because that's what was used in most of the headlines that I saw. I already addressed stoning, but gays, what are gays? That's a form of propaganda, and I'll introduce you now to propaganda as a way of getting an idea across. Homosexuals, especially those who wanted to be seen in a better light than what the Bible portrays them as, wanted to be known for something other than being perverted and needing to come out of a very destructive lifestyle. So they, at some point, recoined the word gay that used to mean happy, and now it means basically perverted, but it's given in the sense that these people are supposed to be considered happy, maybe even happier than the rest of us because they are happy with what they are. I don't know, but that's really an abuse of a good word. And the Bible refers to them as homosexuals, refers to them as sodomites. Remembering the Bible account, not a story, but the account of those in Sodom that were homosexuals that wanted to have sexual relations with Lot's friends that I believe were angels. That's how the Bible portrays them. And also in the King James Version in Romans 1, we read about those who are abusers of themselves with mankind. None of those phrases are complimentary or flattering, but that word gay was used, and I won't use it. I prefer to be more truthful about it because it's an ugly reality that this is not a healthy thing. It's a perversion and something to come out of. I already addressed one of the words in that phrase, stoning gays, earlier. I'd like to address the word gay now. I won't use that word because I think it's propaganda. It's meant to portray a very destructive lifestyle in a positive light. The word gay means happy. We've heard of the gay 90s, and so many songs I remember were written with the word gay in it, wanting to express carefree, happy, those kind of things. Well, that's not the way this lifestyle is, and it's propaganda to try to portray it that way. If you look at the suicide rate among homosexuals, you'll find it's very much higher than the suicide rate for society in general. Also, a high degree of violence within the homosexual community. That both those things belie this claim that there's something carefree and happy about that lifestyle. So I don't use that term gay. And if we look at what the Bible has to say about it, the Bible refers to homosexuals, refers to sodomites, those who are immortally remembered as those who tried to sexually assault some angels that Lot, the Bible character Lot, had taken into his home, and there was, that was a violent thing they were wanting to do. In Romans chapter 1, in the King James Version of the Bible, it says, abusers of themselves with mankind. These are not flattering terms. The Bible does not use flattering terms, and I won't either. If you look at my conversation I had with a person named Adam Bates, and Adam Bates was mentioned by Rob Morris in the video that you saw previously, you'll see that Adam Bates, if you look in our conversation and analyze it, you'll see that he doesn't really have much use for biblical morality. I'm largely libertarian. I still hold to that to this day. But I don't believe in license, and there are plenty other Oklahomans that don't believe in license, but they do believe in freedom in many ways. If we practice license, getting rid of our moral foundations, throwing biblical morality out, and saying it doesn't matter if two men live together as a couple, or 10 men live together as a big couple. People have relations with animals, sexual relations with animals, whatever, anything goes. You will see that the family will be endangered, and what we can do, and is already being done, to see the difference in license and genuine liberty. Some states are having homosexual marriage enshrined in their state with their state law, and other forms of perversion are being encouraged by their laws. And you can see what happens in those states, that they become unstable. Their family becomes very much endangered. Children become unprotected from these kind of predations that are guaranteed to happen when we throw away the biblical morality that keeps us secure. And I don't want to see that come to Oklahoma, and I'm going to be a champion against it. Battle me. One of my big planks I had is when I was running, and if I run again it'll be the same big plank, I think, is getting the federal government out of things like education. I'm a big fan of nullification, as several in the legislature are, and several that are running for office right now. And I think getting the federal government out, and also working to get the state government out of education, because we didn't have state financing of education until at least the 1850s in any state at all, and we got along just fine without it. Probably had our greatest flowering of education and civilization and culture in that time before the government stepped in and worked its interesting effects. But part of the benefit of getting the government out of education is we will no longer, in private and home schools, sex education is handled quite a bit differently than in public schools. The militant homosexual groups are not allowed to be a big part of that like they are in the public education industry. Because let's face it, homosexuals cannot reproduce, so they have to recruit if they're going to replenish their numbers. And by portraying their lifestyle as something not destructive, but something that they want children to experiment with, and they encourage them, saying that it's a good alternate lifestyle, this would come, I think, down to a screeching halt. If we privatized the schools, got the government out of it, it would improve the quality of education. There would be less distractions. Homeschool and private school, they're not funded by any government institution, but yet the children that come out of those systems are much less likely to resort to crime and to live off government dole than those that are in the public schools. That's incontrovertible. And that's one of the many benefits of privatizing education and letting private charities take care of children whose parents want them to go to school but they can't afford it. That's always been an option, and if the state isn't taking so much money out of people's pockets, those charities will be able to help people as well. So I think I didn't want to talk a lot about what I thought about homosexuality in my campaign. As a matter of fact, that was never part of what I talked about on people's front porches. It was never in my website. But those things that I want to do to get the government out of our hair have other good consequences as well. As I mentioned before, I have many comments on Adam Bates' Facebook page, If you try to look me up on Facebook, you'll find that my account is closed or I'm locked out of it. I don't really even know what the situation is. Facebook is it has been a very great way to stay in touch with friends, but I tell you what, when they decide that you violate their policy, they're very cryptic about telling you about what you did wrong, what you did to offend them, and I have a big problem with that. I want to make this part of my video a criticism of them, because I believe they locked me out of my account and they never told me why. I imagine they didn't want me to say anything about homosexuality. I don't know. But that's something, anybody who wants to provide competition to Facebook, feel free, hint hint, and I will be a big fan of whoever competes with them, because I don't like this policy that just mysteriously locks you out and doesn't. I've tried to change my name, tried to use different email addresses that were supplied to me by friends that should have worked to get a hold of somebody. I cannot get a hold of anybody to resolve this. So Facebook, you're doing a horrible job of resolving issues when you do stuff like this. But hopefully they will have some good competition in the near future. I'll be a big fan of it. Few words in conclusion. I never really thought I'd get famous for my views on homosexuality. That was something I shared with somebody a year before the election happened. But I think from what you've heard on this video, you've seen how I stand on these things. I have compassion on anybody who is in the grips of an insidious addiction such as homosexuality, and wish to help them. Whether or not they do, I don't think, I never did move for expanding the death penalty to discourage that, but I obviously think that it serves families better for people to live as God designed them, and I think God designed people to be one man and one woman in a marriage and creating a family that way. And that, I think that's what glorifies God and helps you serve your fellow man. What I would like to be most known for is promoting freedom in Oklahoma. Freedom through nullification, getting the federal government off our backs, limiting state government to the bare minimum that is needed to protect our freedoms, to protect our God-given rights. And if that is something that you also share with me, I would like to have your support if I ever decide to run, but I would also like to just spread this news, and it's been fun meeting the people that I've gotten to meet and make the friends I've gotten to make. I appreciate your attention to this video, and hopefully I'll make some more and get some more good news out. Thank you.